Bohemian National Cemetery. This is one of the most beautiful cemeteries I've ever seen. I've been here before. This is actually North Pulaski Drive, and Smoke Barbecue is right down that street, about another 20 blocks or so. But this is a beautiful cemetery. It says Bohemian National Cemetery, and when you see the names here at the cemetery, you will see so many of the names that we see back home. If you were back in Taylor or if you were in Granger, so many Czech Bohemian families, Slovaks, Czechs, Moravians, Bohemians, absolutely beautiful. You can see the Czech inscriptions on so many of these, and this is a beautiful cemetery. I think it's important to know where we come from. Most all Americans are immigrants from somewhere. I'm very proud of our Czech heritage, and the Mikeska family were Moravians, and my grandmother's family, the Walishes, were Bohemians. And look at this, so many of these pictures just remind me of so many of our family. I mean, that way we look and the way they, it's just, you'll see a lot of them inscribed with Otek or Matka, which mother and father. And I mean, this goes on and on and on. It's just absolutely beautiful. Bohemian National Cemetery, Chicago. Now, as we continue to look around, we find names that we recognize, like Vasek, which is a name that we recognize because our cousin Laurice married Joe Vasek. He's still above ground, thank God, and so is his family. But if we come over here, if you ask me if there's any Mikeskas, well, there's a lot of different names of the spelling of Mikeska, how people were immigrated and how they came through immigration, whether it was to Ellis Island in New York or Galveston, like we came through Galveston, our family did. If you look at this name right here, Mikolasik, so many of those names are derived, they are derived from the name Mikolai, and that's actually where Mikeska comes from, the name of Nicholas in Czech. And this could have been, of course, somebody that our family knew back in the old country. You just never know. Again, you know, I'm here in Chicago, I'm here on business, but I don't want to forget the roots. And a lot of these people, there's a lot of Czechs here in the Chicago area because a lot of them were meat cutters and butchers and very hard workers, and that's why they came to Chicago. There was work for them, and they flourished here. And who's to say that some of these people here weren't friends with the Mikeskas and the Walishes back in the old country? You never know. Now here we have a memorial to the Czechs that are buried here that were in the Civil War. It just goes to show that even though they immigrated, this was their country and they fought for it, just like the Czechs fought in the World War I and II, and Korea and Vietnam. All 6 of the Mikeska boys fought in war, except for my dad, who was stationed in the United States. But Uncle Mike and Uncle Louis and Uncle Jerry were all in World War II overseas. My dad was stationed in California as a meat and dairy inspector, and then later on Uncle Maurice and Clem were overseas in Korea. So just think about Grandma Mikeska. She had 6 stars at her home there in Round Rock. She had 6 sons at war during wartime. But it just goes to show you what our history is all about. All these wonderful people that came and lived and made it their home. Look at this beautiful mausoleum, Otto Vidunas. Just absolutely beautiful. All the intricate artwork here. And let's see if Otto's home. I don't think I see him. You can see how beautiful it is. Still flowers and pictures, and you can see the marble. I don't hear anything, so we'll check back later. Here's another military man who was last name was Mikeska. It wouldn't be Mike's. That's how I guess they would say it, but in Czech that'd be Mikeska, and that would be a derivative of the name Mikeska. I've seen so many Zuraviks right there, Matusiks, Blahudas, Mahacheks, lots of Swobodas here. Maybe they're kin to Rick Swoboda down in El Campo. You never know. But just so many of these names look so familiar. Kubala right there. Pospisil. There's a Pospisil. We have Pospicils back home. Again, just so many familiar names. Now we have a George Vanacek. Pretty close to the spelling of course, of our cousins Vanacek, V-A-N-E-C-E-K. And there's more Vanaceks right here. But a lot of times when they were immigrated, they weren't literate enough to spell their names, at least in English. And how it was pronounced was how the immigration officer would write it. So Mikeska would become Mikeska because that's just how it sounded. Vanacek could have been V-E-N-E-C-E-K or V-A-N-E-C-E-K. That's just kind of what happened. So a lot of the names are meant to be the same family, but they were just spelled a little differently. Okay, this is a very interesting mausoleum here. Interesting guy buried there. This is Anton Chermak. He was the mayor of Chicago from 1931 to 1933, and he was from Bohemia. Kladna, I believe, Bohemia. And he was a mayor of Chicago at that time, and he was the first elected Czech, elected immigrant from Czechoslovakia, that area at that time. And what's interesting is that he tried to clean up Chicago, and he wasn't liked very well. But before he was elected, he had to fight the Irish political power. It was a big political scheme of Irishmen back then. And the mayor running, the guy that was the mayor, Bill Thompson, that was running with him against him, I guess I should say, they got in a shouting match, and he kind of cut Anton Chermak down by saying, you know, who is that bohunk that's running for mayor? Go get his push cart and have him go sell something. And then he started playing with his name. He called him Chermak, and then he used the word Chernak, which we know in Czech what that means. And that kind of upset the man being called that. So it was pretty intense. Now, he was assassinated in 1933. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the president-elect, and he was in Florida, and the mayor of Chicago was there to meet him and to greet him. And this man was shot. Originally, they thought it was an assassination attempt on FDR, which would have been successful. It could have changed our history. But they determined that it was probably Al Capone and his people that wanted to get rid of this guy because of the fact he was trying to clean up Chicago. Very interesting character. Let's see if he's there. I mean, I know he's not there, but he's there, but you know what I mean. And his whole family's in there. And you see the pictures there's some family pictures in there. Again, very beautiful mausoleum. All marble. And again, part of the history here at the Bohemian National Cemetery. That's about it. My battery ran out a while ago. That's why I had to kind of split this in half. But just beautiful. I mean, I love coming here. It's very peaceful. In a busy city like Chicago, this is about as peaceful as it gets. Look at this beautiful statue with the word mother on it, and the crematorium, the beautiful, and then the dome chapel behind there. I think this is very fitting because obviously all of us know how important our grandmother Mikeska was and how all of our mothers were important. But to the Czechs, the people of Czech ancestry, the mother was held in high esteem. Obviously, is really the most important person in the family, the person that kept the family together. And I think that's a very fitting image of a mother taking care of her children, because we all know that's what they did. They took good care of us. We obviously wouldn't have been here without them. And I kind of ended right here with the thanking of our mothers, and especially Grandma Mikeska, who we all miss, and all of our mothers, and to know that we will never forget them. Thanks. From Chicago, Bohemian National Cemetery.